Hello everyone, I'm Eunice and I work together with Laura for this test review project.
HSK 6级考试。
This is what you're going to hear if you're taking this Chinese proficiency test. This is called 汉文水平考试 HSK, and it used to be on old HSK before 2009, but we are reviewing the new version which has been administered since 2009. HSK is a Chinese proficiency test. It's an international standardized test of Chinese language proficiency, which assesses non-native Chinese speakers' abilities in using the Chinese language in their daily, academic, and professional lives. It consists of 6 levels. The purpose of the test is to measure the proficiency level of non-native speakers of Standard Chinese or 普通话. It is characterized by the pronunciation of the Beijing dialect, the vocabulary of Northern Mandarin, and the grammar of modern vernacular literature. The new HSK is administered and published by the Office of Chinese Language Council International, Hanban, under the Higher Education Department, Ministry of Education, China. The test is held every month in official test centers and at Confucius institutions all over the world. Test takers are required to register 4 weeks in advance for paper-based tests and 10 days in advance for internet-based tests. We are focusing on paper-based tests for this test review. The price depends on which level you are taking. So the higher the level is, the more expensive the price is. The new HSK scores are available 1 month after the test date. Individual test takers may obtain HSK certificates along with their scores, either in person or by mail. Even they can check their scores online. The certificates do not have an expiration date, whereas score reports for university admission purposes are valid only for 2 years. Test scores of new HSK are used to assist with college admission for non-native speakers of Chinese. Individual universities can decide their own cutoff scores of new HSK for admission purposes. For example, top-tier universities like Peking and Tsinghua University in China require a score of 210 or higher out of 300 in new HSK Level 6, which is the most highest level, for admission to Chinese linguistics or literature programs. For other programs, they require 180 or higher in Level 5. Although it's not specifically officially stated on their official website, it should be also noted that in other countries, such as South Korea, HSK scores are used as an alternative to exit exam for bachelor programs in Chinese language and literature, or a requirement for job applicants. Based on the information, we can probably consider HSK as a high-stake language proficiency test. From now on, we will present more specific information about the test. The test consists of 6 different levels. The highest level is level 6, and if you pass level 6, it indicates that you can easily understand any information communicated in Chinese. You can smoothly express yourself in written or oral form. The Old Chinese was revised to have corresponding levels to CEFR. So level 6 will correspond to C2 level in Common European Framework. And if you pass level 6, you are expected to have already learned more than 5,000 characters in Chinese. For this test review, we are focusing on 2 advanced level HSK tests, level 5 and level 6. Level 5 and 6 are slightly different in terms of number of questions in listening, reading, and writing section and how much time is allowed for each section. As you can see, level 6 has more items in listening and reading, and more time is allowed for level 6. Interestingly, in writing section, level 5 has 10 items and level 6 only has 1 item. This is the information about level 5. Level 5 has a listening, reading, and writing section. Listening section is composed of 2 different parts, and the reading speed, the speech of the listening speed would be 166 words per minute. For reading section, they have closed tests together with multiple choice items. For writing section, part 1 is sentence completion. There are 4 to 7 words given, and they are expected to unscramble the words to make a sentence. Part 2 is cued essay writing. There will be 2 different stimuli. So textual stimuli with 5 words and 1 picture stimuli. They are expected to write 80 character long short essays based on the cues. For level 6, you can see that it's a little faster in listening passages, 234 words per minute, and they have longer passages or interviews for listening questions, multiple choice questions. For reading, there are 4 different parts. For writing section, there is 1 item which asks test takers to produce 400 character summary of 1000 character narrative. For rating system for the writing section, this is the information we can get from the official website, and this is not enough because they only gives us information about how many points are assigned to each item. So for scoring of writing section, guidelines are actually provided, but the details of rating rubrics are not available. However, guidelines are not very clear either, so they have very vague descriptions. Sample answers to essays are not provided, which means test users and test takers do not know band scores. So this is the guideline for evaluating the writing tasks, and you can see that they only say low, mid, high points. We don't know how many points would be considered as high, mid, or low. It's also same problem for level 5 word cued and picture cued sentence writing or essay writing tasks. Out of 30 points, we are not sure how many points would be considered high points, mid points, and low points. This is the same for the picture cue essay writing as well. And in the question, it's not clear that the test takers are supposed to describe the picture or write a novel story or short story based on the picture. But according to the guideline, the test developer wanted to description. However, even if you add your arguments or opinions, it probably will not affect their scores. For level 6, although it's going to be 400 character summary, we don't know how specifically it's going to be rated. They only say there will be 4 components for evaluating essay: content relevance, coherence and logic, grammar, and vocabulary. This is level 6 writing. So you are supposed to read 1,000 character narrative in 10 minutes, and then the text will go away. Then you should produce a 400 character summary on this answer sheet. Now we are moving on to reliability problems. Unfortunately, no information is available regarding all kinds of reliability, but we were wondering the rater reliability, especially for writing section. So who are the raters? Are they human or machine? If human raters are employed, how are they hired, and what are the criteria for recruitment? How are they trained, and how often are they trained? If they are using both of the raters, how would they resolve discrepancy between raters? We have absolutely no information about this. For the validity problem, we will go section by section. For listening, for both levels, listening materials are recorded with machine-like monotone speech with Putonghua and Beijing dialect. Rate of speech is the same for level 5 and 6, and it does not vary according to situations or context. Conversations do not include fillers, which would be a big part of natural speech. Conversations do not reflect any emotions, even though they are talking about very strong emotional contents. In real life, most of the native Chinese speakers would speak standard Chinese with varying degrees of local accents. However, the listening materials are only recorded with standard Beijing dialect, which could be also a authenticity problem. For reading section, level 5, there is a question that asks test takers to identify one option which is consistent with a short reading. So this short reading would be like this, and then there are 4 different options, and you should select the most consistent one with a reading. That's what the question says. So the problem would be, what does it mean by consistent? It's not clear to the test takers. So some questions are actually asking test takers to find correct factual information, while other questions are asking them to make some inference. So the previous sample is actually asking you to make some inference. So test takers should actually decide which direction they should go. However, in other language proficiency tests, they are very clear about what the test takers should accomplish in certain reading comprehension questions. For level 6 reading, part 1 is asking the test takers to select the one without any errors. Apparently, there are just 4 given sentences out of context. Then, what does the word errors mean? It's weeping in Chinese, but to test takers, it's not really clear. I don't know how test takers, how differently they would interpret this word. And some questions are actually testing prescriptive grammar rules, while others are actually testing collocation and knowledge. So, weeping or errors really does not tell test takers what to do. And even native speakers have different interpretation of the errors, and then they pick wrong options. So they really cannot find the intended answer to these kind of questions. So this is also a problem of what kind of errors are they trying to what kind of errors do they mean by errors? Is it in written language or colloquial language? Because according to native speakers of Chinese, they say even though the A was intended answer, the A is not acceptable in writing, while it could be acceptable in colloquial communication. That's why it sounds so natural to native speakers. Another type of reading question could also pose threat to validity. So this question has 3 different blanks, and then if you look at the options, it's a little bit weird. If I know this answer, then I would probably find the correct answer, and then I don't need to take a look at other blanks. So I can just use my test taker strategies to answer this question. So this kind of format could be problematic because test takers can just take advantage of the test taking strategies without having true ability to use those given words. So as we have seen, part 1 and part 2 are really difficult and tricky for test takers. And based on my experiences, I usually skip part 1 and part 2, and then I just directly go to part 3, which is almost reading comprehension questions. And then I invest much time into part 3 so that I can just achieve higher scores. And then usually I do part 1 at the end of the test, and I just making all the guesses, which means the test items probably are not measuring what they were intended to measure. Level 5 writing asks the test takers to write a short essay based on these cues. Then they need to kind of develop the storylines and the characters. So is it testing creativity? So we don't know because we don't have any rubrics available. And there are 2 different stimuli, but why 5 words and a picture? Another question we had was what are the criteria of stimuli selection? So 5 words, how are they selected? Are they selected based on the frequency? or how designers have some rationale behind selecting those 5 words. And picture stimuli also the same thing. So if they need to do this writing using their creativity based on the picture, then it might be a little bit more difficult than level 6 writing, which is a summarization. For level 6 writing, as mentioned previously, the test takers are going to read 1,000 character long reading within 10 minutes without taking notes. Then the proctor will take away the reading. Then test takers are expected to write 400 character summary in through 35 minutes, and they also need to write a self-selected title. Then we were wondering if this is a memory test or not, because you cannot take any notes while you're reading. So, is memorizing skill considered more valuable than note-taking in Chinese cultural or academic setting in China? Why do test takers need to write a title? Because in real world, probably if you're writing a summary, the title can be just a summary. So those were some of the questions we had for this writing section. That's all for our test review presentation. Thank you. 谢谢你。